Is it Riddick time now?
It is Riddick time. So, Riddick. The Chronicles of Riddick, they continue. So we open on Alien Planet. Vin Diesel, he's on his own at the beginning. He's got to fight a whole bunch of beasties in order to get from point A to point B because he needs to get some water. And then other people arrive on the planet who kind of complicate the situation, but not so much so. So the first half is basically stuff that you know from before, with Vin doing his typical narration. Here's a clip.
Don't know how many times I've been crossed off the list and left for dead. Guess when it first happens, the day you were born, you're gonna lose count. This ain't nothing new.
And it isn't nothing new either. Here's the big problem with Riddick. I went into it thinking, I kind of want to enjoy this because it's a genre picture, and and people invested their own money in it, and blah 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 blah, and it has a strong fan following. At the beginning, you think, okay, fine. I mean, I think David Twohy has done better work. The director has done better work, but it's a kind of you know where you are, and it's Vin Diesel doing that Vin Diesel thing, and there's some fights with space lizards which are quite nicely done and very alien inflected, but in a kind of squishy way that's kind of okay. And then the other people turn up. None of this is particular. There's an awful lot of referring back to the plots of the first two films, about which, frankly, I had completely forgotten. I think other people had forgotten as well. At one point, there's a key plot point about what Vin Diesel's character did with somebody's son. You go, oh yeah, I'd completely forgotten about that because that's not really relevant. Then everyone else turns up, and you think, okay, the character Auntie is going to be turned up, and Katie Sackhoff has got this kind of quite interesting role, and you think, oh, the film's being, it's got quite. And then there's a really weird moment when there are a couple of lines of dialogue, which I'm not going to repeat, which are really, really badly misjudged in terms of gratuitous, misogynistic, homophobic humour. And the movie thinks at that point that we're all on board enough to be, because the Riddick character is meant to be unlovable, but somehow admirable, and it just blew any goodwill that the film had. And at that point, it was like, okay, fine, I've just lost all sympathy with the movie, and now I have to sit through the rest of the ploddingness. And it was an interesting exercise in watching something and wanting to go with it, and then it just really shoots itself in the foot, and then just finding it rather tedious and rather boring and rather annoying. Some people I know have been very, very annoyed by this particular bit of dialogue, which, as I said, I'm not going to repeat. When you see the film, it's fairly evident. But I think actually it was indicative of a bigger flaw, which was that it was possible very easily to lose patience and interest in the movie, and then it just became trudging. And what that told me was that up until that point, it had been treading a very thin line between being interesting and being trudging, and all it needed to do was blow it once, and then it just became trudging.